Just going to go over today's PA really quick and break down today's trades. Um, I mainly looked at GJ and Euro today. If you guys can hear a bunch of loud noise, it's because my dog's laying beside me and he's chewing on a bone or something here. Okay, so the first trade I looked at, or the first set of trades we executed was GJ, and then the second set was Euro. When I analyzed GJ, there was a couple things I was looking at. Bullish on the 4 hour, we're bullish unconfirmed. Unconfirmed meaning we made one high and we need another high to be confirmed. When I came to the charts, what we had done was, I believe, where did I come? I think I came in around here. So at the time, the first trade I took was this long, and since we put in this low and took out this low, we became bearish unconfirmed, and unconfirmed again, meaning we need one more low to be confirmed bullish. So I actually tried shorting from this order block, and then I ended up eating shit on that, and I ended up shorting off the second order block, and I ended up taking half my position off at the first demand. We broke even on the rest, which is totally fine. And we ended up buying up to the order blocks too. So this is kind of what my trading looked like on GJ today. And I always look for the same thing. Um, Obviously, we got our chalk here. We sweep the lows. Oh, I forgot to draw the rest on. And we sweep the highs. So a chalk to me is just a change of trend. And basically what that means is we have a supply here, we put in a low, we took these lows, and then this low came up and took the highs, means we disrespected supply, supply lost control. And ultimately, the way I view it is one of two things is going to happen. We had a supply to demand flip. Um, depending depending what happens, I usually try to look for the candle that took out the reaction point. So the purple point is my reaction point, and that is your exchange between buyers and sellers. And I like to see that reaction point. If there's not much of a reaction, one or two things is going to happen, and I'll talk about that in the next trade I explain. And basically, if I go down to the seconds, there's something in this candle that where the institutional money came in, that took out your reaction point, that took out your supply, and that completed your chalk. Option A is you get in here. Option B is they come right through that and you get in on where the move initiated, which definitely happens. I've even, ended up losing both of these before. It happens. So I think we collected, and I might have my stop marked a little wrong. I think I collected 6R on this one, and I just took it to the first supply. In the first supply here, we only had one area, again, that I was interested in, and to me, this was the reaction point. This area here took out the reaction point, so I actually just tried a risk entry here, and it came right through that, so that one never worked out. So then we ended up tapping into the next supply, and once again we chalked, and that's what I like to see in a supply. Is I like to see a change of character, and again we chalk up and we chalk down. And this one I actually made some money on, even though it didn't run to target. And the reason I closed half was we were losing volume. And as soon as you start losing volume, it's important to pay yourself, especially as the session's ending. So that completed our chalk there. This one here was a bit different. This one, to me, they kind of came right through. There might have been a bit of interaction, but not much. And usually when they come through, one of two things happens. They either mitigate the extreme or they will come right through it. And to me, I'm still unconfirmed bearish with that new low, so I didn't mind taking a short here. And in this case, I wouldn't try to enter off this candle because there wasn't much of a reaction. Like even here wasn't really the best reaction, but there was something there on the seconds when I looked. And again, yeah, we just entered in here, and I think our 15 demand was around here, so I ended up closing 50% around here. It's also 1700 London time. We lose volume. So at that point, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to leave all your money on the table. Not the greatest day, but I made money on it, so it's all right. And we'll talk about Euro too. Euro was a little bit cleaner today. Euro is obviously bullish on 4 hour and bullish on 15 minute. And I believe I came to the charts somewhere around here. So the first thing I had noticed is this low is still intact, and this is the low that put in this high, which still means we're bullish. And as long as this low stays intact, to me, we're bullish. So obviously we respected this demand, we took this inducement right here, and we started going up. And if you actually pay attention here, this wick here would be sort of your demand or your supply, sorry. And we're obviously still showing intention to go up. We didn't get a full body close, but my first trade was actually on here. And on the 1 minute, what we have is the same entry again. We get a 15 demand, which is right here. And we wait for a chalk and a flip. So again, demands and control in the lower time frame, or supplies and control, I should say. Right here, we get a reaction point. Now, this is the kind of reaction point we want to see, where we go in and we come back out. That is ultimately the absolute best setup. That's my favorite. Um, Here's your supply. This would be your demand, you could say. The reason I picked this demand over that one is this demand took out the reaction point. And yes, you could come through this one and ultimately tap into this demand. It's happened to me. And again, it's happened where I lost both of those. It sucks, but it's just part of trading. And anyway, we took control here. We took out a supply here. This supply failed. This supply failed. So obviously demand's in control. And the most likely place we're going to get a mitigation is the area that caused the supply to demand flip. And I wasn't looking really to be greedy, so I think at the time had a supply put. Oh yeah, so at the time I was just looking to run this high, and to be honest, I could have probably even held it onto here to run this high because this high is weak, as it failed to take out this low. So this could have easily been targeted. I could have definitely held out for a few more hours, but I did quite well on this one. This one wasn't bad. And then this here was a counter trend trade, and I took a win and a loss on it. Initially, I had entered, and I ended up actually taking a hit on spread and not covering this wick. So I ended up entering right back in and taking it down to here, which worked out quite nice. And then the next setup I seen here was again where we ended up supply ended up losing control here. We had a reaction point. This is where the move originated for the reaction point to leave. However, when we came to mitigate, what actually happened is they ended up just mitigating the 5 minute order block instead of the 1 minute. So if you see, this is the wick where they came down and they ended up just tapping into the candle that caused the reaction more or less, rather than coming down here where the move originated. And that's fine. And I was looking to take it from here to run this high. Obviously that didn't happen, and that's totally fine. And I did see one more short here. I didn't bother entering in it because it was up quite nicely on the day, so it's totally fine. And you also counter trend. I try not to take them as often as pro trend trades, but it's the same difference. You get a reaction. So you had a chalk here, you sweep these highs. You get a reaction, you sweep these lows. If you look, pay attention here. This wick right here gets taken by this wick, and you could ultimately just pull this whole white or gray candle, and that could have been used as your entry. Stop right above that. And that's it. And I probably wouldn't have gone very far with that trade. To me, if it mitigated this, I would have been quite happy. It's counter trend. So that's pretty much what I looked at today. I did try shorting this today, and I had a short bias on GU today, which, funny enough, I had a short on here, and it actually didn't tap me in. It came right up to it and didn't tap me in. I was kind of upset at the time because I was actually planning on running this low. I never got tapped in. I ended up taking the order off. I kind of stopped paying attention to it, but they actually ended up flipping the script here when supply ended up getting disrespected. And your supply to demand flip actually happened here on the seconds. You can even see this wick here and this wick here. That is your supply on the seconds that put in this low. And that supply got disrespected from this zone. So ultimately, your supply to demand flip happened here. This is one of those areas where you didn't really have an interaction. They came right through it. Anytime they come right through it, they usually mitigate the extreme or come right through it. But yeah, I didn't really do a whole lot with this pair today. It's kind of been not very nice to me the last couple days. I've been doing a little better with your own GJ lately, and usually GU is one of my better pairs. But yeah, that's about all there is to today's overview of what happened. Hopefully, this helps some guys out. And yeah, have a good day, everyone.